Aiming at my head cause I got the crown. If they try to take it from me, I'ma hit them like pow. Hey, niggas send they jump to the cloud. Gonna be a while till they come back around. Get this piece jumping up and down like a crowd. Looking at me now when I got them like...
What is good? Welcome to the Wrk To Create Podcast. I am your host, Colton Bacher. Wow. I cannot believe that we are here right now. I'm an avid podcast listener, and to finally have my own is just surreal. So I just wanted to take a moment to appreciate that, and thank you for being here and taking time out of your day to listen to me just ramble and talk my nonsense. This episode is probably going to be awful. The first ones, I feel like, always are. Anytime you start something new, it's just bad. So I apologize in advance. Quick intro into who I am. I'm Colton Bacher. I'm originally from South Dakota. I'm 27 years old. I currently live in Chicago, Illinois. I am primarily a filmmaker and VFX artist / director in the music industry. That's kind of my bread and butter. Nice. No cuts, by the way. No cuts. So if we mess up, whatever. This is real life. So you probably have a ton of questions, and they're all going to get answered today. I promise. In addition to knowing what to expect, topics we're going to cover, different segments that we're going to have. I'm super excited. So let's dive into it. One of the things that you're probably wondering is like, okay, what does Wrk To Create mean? I have always kind of just throughout my life found that when you put in hard work and you do the best job that you can do, that a lot of times things work out, or you learn something. And so kind of the idea of working really hard is like a part of who I am. And when I was like developing, or like when I was I don't know, paying for like all the the LLC name and all that stuff, I decided to run with Wrk To Create because I think it's just a good representation of who I am and what it took for me to get here today. And the Wrk To Create name itself is kind of a mindset. It's like putting in the work, doing what is necessary in order to make the project the best that it could be, or to just become the best person, putting in the work to learn things. Those are all kind of part of this Wrk To Create mindset, and will be a continued theme throughout all of these episodes. So as you've probably already noticed with all the ums and ahs, this is raw. This is unfiltered, and we are not making any cuts. I don't have time to go through and edit this all down, so here we are. And honestly, that was like one of the things holding me back from starting this, is like that things have to be perfect, and that I don't have the time to cut them down and all this stuff. So yeah, we're just gonna continue to kind of push through this. And I also want to get better at speaking off the cuff. And what better way to do that than to just put in reps, right? Like, so here I am putting in my first rep, and you're on this journey with me. Oh man. All right, here we go. Okay, so why did I start this podcast? I love podcasts. I've already said it before, but I freaking love them. I listen to podcasts all the time, and so I think that me starting a podcast was kind of inevitable. I tried doing like the heavily edited YouTube videos on different topics, and I'll probably get back to that, but for now, this is my way of diving deep into topics. And thankfully the podcast like format allows me to kind of just be in your ear as you're doing things, whether you're driving or working or, whatever it is. You just have me on in the background, and you're still getting the value that you would probably get out of a YouTube video, hopefully. That's the goal anyways. And so to kind of go deeper on why it's such a big deal that I started this is because I am a textbook procrastinator. You can ask my wife, I'm notorious for saying that I'm going to do something and then just not doing it. And that's something that's kind of plagued my work life and personal life, and it's something that I'm trying to change. And I love helping others, creatives and business people, just navigate this whole world. And I also want to build a personal brand, but none of that works when you only talk about it and there's no action taking place. So this is literally what you're hearing right now is me taking action, and that's exciting. I kind of have this crazy, weird first time adrenaline type of thing going on. It's really interesting. Speaking of taking action, I am going to record a video live on this podcast. Okay, so we are live on the Wrk To Create podcast. I'm recording a video. This is also me trying a new type of content. We are live right here. If you're watching this on YouTube, this is really awkward. If you're watching this on Instagram, this is really awkward. But the Wrk To Create podcast, this is episode 1, and I want to develop my personal brand. I want to build. I want to create a community of people that are like-minded, willing to put in the work, and just have a hub for you guys to ask questions and to kind of dive deeper on topics that we all relate to. And so this is just one example right here. I am as opposed to all the highly edited videos that you may have seen from me, this is quite the opposite. And that's scary, but also I think that's a good thing. So here we are. Okay. All right. I'm sorry if that was a bit jarring or weird. Oh man. All right. But I'm stoked. I'm stoked because the other thing about this is I gotta promote the podcast somehow, right? You guys have to learn about it somehow. And I feel like short form is a really good way to drive people to long form content. So yes. Whether it's weird or tacky or cringe, whatever you want to call it, this is the way forward for me. So, another reason why I started the podcast was I don't feel like there's enough honest talk about the nitty gritty of being a creative in the music industry, owning your own business. So whether we're talking about money or working with clients, rates, taxes, building relationships, the list goes on. Okay. And yeah, I just every time I'm in a room with a bunch of other creatives, we get to talking on these really interesting, topics. And I've always really enjoyed that. And so this is kind of an expansion of that. Another thing about this podcast is it's a solo podcast for now. I think for me and avoiding all of the procrastination, it was keeping it as simple as possible, right? It's just me, the mic, this camera, you guys, and that's it. And there's just no competing with schedules or, trying to find guests, all of those things. And us creatives, we're all control freaks. Don't lie to yourself. All right. And then the other reason, and this is the final kind of reason why I created the podcast, this is a space to share everything from behind the scenes, the W's, the L's, the growth, the frustrations with the industries, all of those things. That is what this is for. There's no filter that I'm creating, other than just like, the bullet points I create, but like it is me and it is the things that I am interested in and want to talk about. So what you can expect to hear on this podcast, we got filmmaking, editing, gear, industry, culture, business, freelancing, lots more. For example, music industry insights, working with artists, managing the chaos, building trust with your clients, all huge things, right? All things that we deal with and have to deal with, whether we like it or not. In addition, I'll talk about VFX. I love talking about VFX. And I'm currently in the middle of learning 3D. So I'm currently learning Unreal Engine, and I'll continue to keep you up to date on that journey. And just for a little placeholder here, currently I've been learning for about 1 month. There's this tutorial by Unreal Sensei. It's like a 5-something hour tutorial, and I'm just grinding away. I've just kind of been every day spending hour and a half just like diving in, and it's taking me a month to get through it, but I'm like really just trying to absorb all the information that he's like providing. So highly recommend if you're into that type of thing, or you've always like wanted to test out 3D. Another thing to expect. I have right now, it looks like I have a Q&A segment and a creative like hot takes segment that could change, but right now hot takes and Q&A are going to be, the repetitive segments that you will find here. And just to be clear, this is the first episode, right? So I don't have like any Q&A from you guys, but I would love if you guys sent in some questions, because that's how the conversation goes, like on this podcast, I can only talk one way, but as soon as I'm able to answer your guys' questions or just touch on topics that you guys are interested in, that's when it becomes a two-way conversation. And then hot takes, whether that's creativity, trends, tech, whatever it is. I'm not like, you've probably realized by now, like I'm a very blunt person, and so I'm gonna give my opinion whether you like it or not. I don't really care. That's the reality. So here's a hot take right now, okay? You can't build a successful creative career by just waiting for things to happen. The build it and they will come quote is a lie. There's more to our careers than just like building something, because we think it's cool. And then like there's a difference between building something because you think it's cool and you're passionate about it, and actually making money and making a living off of it. Those are two different things. And so there's your hot take for the day. I'm not going to go much deeper into that because one, I didn't prepare to, and two, we got more things to talk about. All right, who is this podcast for? Well, if you're listening, it's probably for you right now. Like if you've even made it this far, it's probably for you. But it is for filmmakers, creators, artists, business owners in general. But most of our conversations will be centered around working in the music industry as a video creative. That doesn't mean we won't cover, photography and all of those fun topics that are, outside of video and outside of the music industry specifically. But that is kind of the anchor that all conversations will kind of like sprout from. This podcast is also for those who are interested in long-term success. Earlier in my career, I did not, and even now I don't get a lot of sleep. Some of you might relate. But the grind has provided some really difficult challenges to navigate, whether that's like relationships or physical health. And so early on, I would, only get a couple hours of sleep every night, just grind, right? But this podcast and all the topics that we're going to be talking about are going to be from the angle of people who, and systems that are built for long-term success. And it's the mindset of trying to figure out how we can make something sustainable. Because when it's sustainable, you can show up every day. You can be consistent. And again, not to, like, I'm not trying to talk a bunch about myself, but this is my podcast, and a personal struggle I've had is consistency. I've tried a lot of different ways to be consistent in different formats and in different ways. So I'm just super excited to see if this is something that is sustainable for me. And yeah, that's like a theme that will consistently show up, is looking for ways to make it sustainable and to be consistent. And again, who is this podcast for? If anyone is looking for an unfiltered, real-life conversation with someone who's just a guy, just trying to make it through life, trying to make something of my creative career, trying to make a name for myself, and build my personal brand and business and all those things, then you're in the right place. All right. Okay. So we've talked about, all the things that are, related to, filmmaking and business and all that stuff. But this podcast is bigger than just filmmaking. I am, like I said, developing my personal brand, and there's this quote that came up recently in a podcast that I listened to so it was a podcast between, it was the 505 guys and Tom Noski. And paraphrasing, Tom said, you are not your brand. You are not your brand. I clearly wrote this wrong. Anyways, you are not your brand. Your brand is you. That's the correct quote. And we are all humans, and we're way more complex than some niche, right? So what I'm trying to say is, your personal brand should include topics and things that you're interested in that make up you. Your niche is you, because the combination of things that you enjoy and the way that you present them to the world, no one else can do. And that's how you'll attract the correct clients and the correct audiences and followers, all of those things. In my opinion, I think that's just like such a cool direction. And in the spirit of that, you're going to learn a little bit more about me that you might not even be interested in. So, for example, Stranger Things, I love the vibe, the visuals, and the storytelling. Like, there's something about it, man. Like, I wasn't, alive in, like, what is it? I think it's set in, like, the 80s? I don't even know. It's retro, right? And for whatever reason, it's, like, incredibly nostalgic feeling, even though I wasn't, like, around to see the world in that state. And then who doesn't love a good sci-fi? Like, come on, dude. Anyways, moving on. Call of Duty Warzone. This is my guilty pleasure. This is my escape. This is my creative reset. I love Warzone. I've been playing it since Verdansk came out, and they're bringing back Verdansk on April 3rd. So, and that's just like, what? I don't even know how many days. It's less than a week away, and I am so stoked. So yeah, I probably won't be posting any like gameplay, but because I love Twitch and I love like watching streamers and all of those things, I've explored streaming before, but I might share a little bit more of it as time goes on. You can definitely be on the lookout for Q&A streams where I play Warzone and just hang out with you guys, answer questions, have creative conversations, while you get to watch me just frag out and probably get shit on. just a little bit kind of overarching all of this stuff. I want this podcast to reflect all sides of me and create a space for you, the listener, to do the same with your personal brand. This is me giving you permission to just like go do it. It's going to be bad in the beginning, and it's going to be cringe and all the things that we think of and all the things that drive that fear that prevents us from doing things. You know, that is all going to come up still, but I'm doing it. So if I can do it, you can definitely do it. What to expect every week, right? We got weekly episodes, minimum of 30 minutes long. What are we at right now? I don't even know. I can't even. Oh, we're at 20 minutes. Oh my God. Okay. That's not even that long. Dang. Okay. All right. So, but this is why I want them to be longer than 30 minutes. I want them to be longer than 30 minutes because when I sit down to like one of my biggest pet peeves with podcasts is like sometimes they're just like 10, 15 minutes. And like, I appreciate the bite-sized thing, but that's not why I, go and listen to a podcast. I like to go and listen to a podcast while I'm doing something. And a lot of times that thing will take longer than 30 minutes. So if it ends, then I have to find another podcast to listen to, and that's just annoying. So this is me trying to, adhere to that minimum of 30 minutes so that, you guys can get your fill of me, and we can dive super deep on topics, because I'm a depth guy. I'm not a width guy. I'm a depth guy. I don't need like a perfect example is my friend circle. Like, I have a very small friends circle. It's quality over quantity. And like, I just really enjoy the people that I hang out with and surround myself with. And that's intentional. So I really hope that this is similar. Depth over width, always. Okay. What to expect every week? 25 episode seasons. So we're doing seasons, and the reason I'm doing seasons is because I need there to be an end in sight. That might sound stupid, but it's the truth. So I'm going to be consistent, right? But I can't just be consistent inevitably, like till the end of time, right? Like, I need there to be a moment where I can stop, take a break, reflect, and then reset and press play again, So I think 25 episode seasons will be a fun way to do that. There's 52 weeks in a year, right? And I have 25 episodes once per week. That's only a episode every other week, but so like, I'm just trying to create a realistic expectation for myself and then for you guys. What also to expect is no editing. I've already said it, but yeah, just be aware. It's just gonna be me and you. That's it. No blade tool. No post processing. None of that. Full episodes, full video versions of this will be on YouTube. Yikes! Especially since it's all uncut, right? And then what I'm going to try and do is create short clips for Instagram, TikTok, etc. for just like quick hits of value, and then also for you guys to find me. Because, podcasts, I think the number one issue with podcasts is that like they lack discoverability. And so I think this short form is how we do that. And then, what else to expect? You can listen passively or tune in to learn and take action. If there's anything that you guys take away from these podcasts, it's that, like, before you, okay. So I'll give you guys some context on, like, where I'm going with this. I'm an avid podcast listener, right? Like, I've listened to thousands and thousands and thousands of podcasts over the years, and I've found that there's actually this thing called information fatigue. And what that is you take in so much information that and then you don't apply it or take action that you literally become like overwhelmed and like fatigued from consuming more information because, again, you've failed to like execute or take action. That is the number one thing that has like, that's been my number one barrier in my creative pursuits is I learn about all these things and learn, tips, tricks, all the things, right? Tutorials, whatever it is, but I don't take action. I just consume the information and move on. And somehow expect there to be some sort of change or growth or whatever without taking action. And that's just not how life works. So I'm really trying to implement that in my own life. And I highly, highly encourage you guys to take this into your own hands. Don't listen to, like, okay, it might be, this is not in my best interest, but it's in your best interest. And it's, don't listen to a bunch of back-to-back episodes if there's something in an episode that you haven't taken action on yet. So just take a break from the podcasts, go and execute, go and take action on the thing that we talked about or, whatever it is that you're just fiending to take on and tackle. And then come back, consume more information, take action. I think that's the best way to learn and excel and grow and all of those things. Speaking of taking action, this is me calling you to action. If you're enjoying this first episode, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It helps a ton with the new show. I'll be honest, not really sure how it helps, but I would really appreciate it. Subscribe, follow on your platform of choice. Watch and share the clips on IG or TikTok at Colton Bacher. Send in your questions via Instagram for the listener Q&A segment of the show. Please, anytime you have a question, sauce it into the DMs. Let me know what resonated with you or if you have any topics that you would like me to cover in the future. This is super helpful for me because, I want these episodes to be longer than 30 minutes. I want to provide as much value as possible for you guys. And talking, I can only speak from my personal experiences. So when I get to hear from you guys, then, that's where I think we all learn together. So holy cow, if you've made it to the end, this is the end. This is it. You could leave right now. But no, I just want to thank you. Thank you for making it here. Thank you for hearing me out. This is a super exciting journey, and I cannot wait to see where it goes. This show is about the real journey. No fluff, no ego. I'm as blunt as they get, ladies and gents, okay? Episode 2, if you've ever wanted to know about my full backstory and how I got to where I am today, this one is for you. I am super excited to just tell you about myself, I guess, my history, where I came from, all of the little nitty-gritty things that I've done to get to where I am. You guys are absolute legends for making it to the end. Take care, and remember, work to create, work to inspire.
To my enemies filled with jealousy, I'm the better breed, check the family tree. It's a tendency, they coming for my legacy, but that's the recipe, a pocket still in pregnancy. No chameleon, I'm one in a million.